So if you missed it, I did do reviews on both nights of WrestleMania 39. There's still going to be a lot of fallout from this show, a lot of discussions going into Monday Night Raw tonight. So I thought I would do a video discussing the future of Roman Reigns because really that really is like the big story here. Cody not winning the title is only a piece of the puzzle. The puzzle is what are they going to do with Roman Reigns and who's actually going to beat this guy? You know, they've rarely, not rarely, I can't remember them ever having a heel champion be this dominant for this long. You can go all the way back to the 60s and 70s when you had Bruno Sammartino as the babyface holding that championship for almost a whole decade. You know what I mean? But that was a different era, totally different era, and things were done a lot differently in various different ways. In fact, most of the fans of that era are probably either really, really, really old and have moved on from the business or have passed away. It was so long ago. But if you study the history of the business, having like a baby face have long reigns is something that is not very Vince McMahon like. So if somebody says, well, Vince McMahon booked WrestleMania 39's finish, I'm not so sure about that. I can see why some would say that. I don't have enough information on that yet, but this is something that's very new territory. And that, I think, is the problem is, you know, Goldberg used to say, who's next? With Roman, it's more so who's left. He's pretty much beaten every major name in the business for the past 3 years. Just smashed them. So who's next? And who's going to actually defeat Roman Reigns and win the undisputed Universal title? So I'm going to go over some scenarios of possible opponents for Roman Reigns for this year. Now, I'm not going to reveal who I think is going to actually beat Roman Reigns until the end of this video. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what I think the story is going to be. But in the meantime, because I was thinking about this all night, like who are they going to book against Roman Reigns? And the problem here is that Roman has been made to be unstoppable, and I think a lot of the fans already know that this guy's not dropping that title for a long time. And because of that, a lot of fans might see that the next year could be predictable, or they could see, you know, the next few months being predictable, and they might just know that Roman's going to retain. So I'm going to go over some names that I was thinking of possible Roman Reigns feuds going forward. First of all, the winner of the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, Bobby Lashley. I don't think Lashley's going to be the one to actually dethrone Roman, but I could see that being a big feud this year because we haven't really seen a major feud with Bobby Lashley against Roman. Not to mention that what they could do is, since we have the bloodline and there have been rumors of him reuniting the Hurt Business, we could easily see the Hurt Business against the bloodline. That would be a nice little faction feud that can give us for a few months in the year 2023. Even though I don't know if Lashley's actually going to win the title, I kind of have a hard time believing that. Nevertheless, he's a guy who just came off a big win at WrestleMania, or not at WrestleMania, at the SmackDown before WrestleMania, so that's one opponent right there. Number two, there are rumors of Switchblade Jay White signing with WWE. I could see him getting the rocket up his ass to go against Roman Reigns for a couple of shows, although I'm not sure if a lot of the WWE audience is going to know who Switchblade Jay White is, but that's another opponent who they could introduce to go against Roman. I'm not saying I think for sure he's coming because I think his contractual status is up in the air. He may show up at Raw tonight. He may not even go. He might go to AEW instead or, you know, somewhere else. Who knows? But Jay White's definitely a big player and a tremendous wrestler. So I could see that being another opponent. Another opponent is Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker dropped the NXT Championship to Carmelo Hayes on Saturday afternoon's NXT Stand and Deliver. So there's a guy who they're definitely grooming to be a top guy. He's got all the tools. He's a charismatic guy. He is super athletic. I mean, this dude busts out standing moonsault. He's jacked. He's a freaking monster. Amateur credentials. You know, here is a guy who I could see feuding with Roman Reigns later this year. You know, maybe for a few months, like I said. I don't know if he's going to be the one to actually dethrone him, although I could see a situation where he wins the Royal Rumble and dethrones him at WrestleMania next year. That's a possibility if they want to go that route. But right now, I'm not going to really hang my hat on Bron Breakker being the guy. Then we have Gunther. I think a lot of people want to see Gunther on top. He definitely had the match of the night at WrestleMania Night 2. The guy has been a hard worker for a long time. Despite being a heel, he's somebody who the fans love. And I think that a Gunther Roman Reigns feud is going to happen at one point or another, whether it be later this year or even next year or even after Roman loses the championship. They could do the Gunther feud. I always thought they were going to have a thing where Cody would beat Roman this year and then Gunther would beat Cody later on in the year with the Money in the Bank. Because I still think that Gunther will be winning the Money in the Bank. I still predict him to win later on this summer. But you know how hard it is to predict this shit nowadays, right? But Gunther's another guy who I think people want to see. Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about who Roman can feud with who's not quite ready for him but could be. And that is the bloodline. I saw a lot of people tell me they want Jey Uso to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. I do not think that either of the Usos or Solo Sikoa are going to dethrone Roman Reigns. However, there is a very good story they can tell from the slow degeneration, the slow disintegration of the bloodline. Here's what I mean by that. A couple of weeks ago on Raw, Cody said you're going to lose your whole family. That's what he said because he knows that Roman Reigns kind of mistreats them. So I could see as the year progresses, as we move through 2023, people who Roman was abusing and gaslighting, like his own family, would slowly kind of betray him, starting with the Usos, because, you know, he's probably going to give him a verbal shout for losing the tag titles to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on Saturday. And that could be the first group to kind of rebel against Roman. And we could have sort of what they did in 2020, where Roman is feuding with the Usos once again. That could be, I think, a good story and a good way to kind of have the bloodline slowly fall apart. And then what Cody prophesied a couple weeks ago would come true. And that is that that's that Roman not respecting or loving his family, taking care of them and using them. Because remember, the story with Roman is that he is using his cousins to protect him. His cousins are there protecting his championship. On Saturday, when the Usos went up against Zayn and Owens, Roman wasn't there. Solo wasn't even there to help out. And that, I think, is going to be the beginning. They're sowing the seeds for a breakdown of the family coming up at some point. Now, some have said that Jey should beat Roman or that they should hold off on the breakdown till after Roman loses the title. And that's what I thought they were going to do. I thought we were going to have them break down after Roman loses the title and he blames them. But now the way I see it is it really does feel like we may get that beforehand. With the idea being, here's the idea, that for WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, the 40th year for WrestleMania, Roman Reigns will lose the championship on that show because at this point, nobody is there to save him. Here's what I mean. The story of WrestleMania 39 is that Cody Rhodes had Roman Reigns beat. Cody had him in 2 crossroads. He was about to hit a third one. He had this guy beat. Had he hit that third crossroads, it would have actually been a total of 4. Cody would have been the world champion. He would have got it. That would have been unquestionable. Then Solo came in, snuck up behind the referee, and attacked Cody and saved Roman. I think if Roman wrestles Cody again, Cody would beat him without his family being there to protect him. And I do think that there's a possibility that the main event of WrestleMania 40 is going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes again. But this time in Philadelphia, in the Northeast, Cody does vanquish Roman Reigns because his family will not be there to protect him. And then we actually have our big change there. Now, I'm going to stick by what I said last night. I said last night that I feel, in my opinion, it was a tactical error to have Roman Reigns beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania last night. I think that this is the logical progression of the story where they could go with it. However, I also feel like even if they do go down this road, I still think that it was a miscalculation. Again, time will tell on that. They have a whole year to build up the rematch. But I do think that Cody will dethrone Roman at WrestleMania 40. And I do think that his family by that point will not be at his side. It'll just be, he'll be a one man, him and Paul Heyman. That'll be it. And then we can then later do the story where Roman is going to try to earn his family back and has a babyface turn. But that's a couple years down the road. That's more longer term storytelling for a couple years down the road. I think that's what makes the most sense, and I think that's the way to go. So yes, I'm going to predict Cody Rhodes will be the guy to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, and I will predict it's going to happen next year, and I think that this time he'll actually get it done without his family to protect him. What do you think? Am I crazy? Will it be Gunther? Will it be Bron Breakker? Will it be another guy who gets signed from AEW or from developmental or Japan, or who could it be? What do you think? Raw is tonight in LA. Let's see where the story goes. We'll talk soon.